Here's to whiskey kisses, the peaty taste of sin. Edinburgh morning with the smell of brewing on the wind.
Greetings, whiskey folk, and welcome back to Drinking Out Loud. It is an absolute pleasure to have you here on our YouTube channel, and an even greater pleasure to have Ashok joining us all the way from India today. My lord, I've had some special guests from the States and I've had special guests from Scotland, but this is by far and away, for me, the most interesting location that we've had a special guest from, because I've never been to India. So I would love to hear all about what makes it so special to make whiskey in your part of the world. Welcome to the show, Ashok from Amrut.
Oh, thank you, Adam. It's really good to be here. Thanks for the invite. And it's been a long time since I've been to STAT. It's been at least 3 or 4 years since I've been to Canada in the first place because of the pandemic. I often tend to forget how an airplane looks like now, unless I get back into that. So hopefully I should be back into Canada next year.
Mm-hmm. So have you visited us for the festival before, Ashok?
Yeah, I've been to quite a number of festivals in Canada. Victoria Whiskey Festival is one of my favorite by far. And then number of shows been attended in Vancouver and in Calgary.
Nice. So Ashok is, of course, the head distiller at Amrut over in Bangalore. But it seems like, unlike a lot of head distillers these days that kind of get locked up in the still room and they're not allowed out, you tend to also enjoy the role of brand ambassador. You like going around and talking about your whiskeys quite a lot, correct?
I think I'm completely doing the reverse of what other master distillers normally would do. For example, Stuart Buchanan from Bentley Distillery is a good friend of mine. And he was a master distiller for a number of years. And then now he's doing completely brand ambassador role on the road, and he's not going to the distillery at all. In my case, I started my career with Amrut as a brand ambassador and a salesperson way back in 2004. And I'm still doing that. But I have assumed the additional responsibility of being a head distiller 3 years ago. So it's like a quite opposite of what generally people do. Because of the pandemic, I haven't been traveling for the last couple of years now. But I will travel, but not maybe as much as I used to do in the past, because I have that additional responsibility of looking at the distillation, blending and bottling. So it's a bit of challenge to manage. To have a fine balance between the two portfolios. The problem is, like, typically you say, I wanted to sell more, but the production team is not giving me enough stock. It's what the sales guy will tell. The production guy will tell, I have plenty of stock. The sales guy is not selling it. But here, the problem is, whomever you want to blame is me. So I have to get the balance right.
Yeah. Well, I think there's one thing that anyone who has ever seen you on video or seen you in person at a festival or a masterclass knows is that you are incredibly passionate about whiskey. So it's no surprise that you want a hand in making it.
Yes, true. When I started my career in the whiskey industry, I absolutely knew nothing about whiskey. Started from ground zero and super scratch, not even ordinary scratch. Then I have learned things over the years, and then I have noticed that I have a very natural inclination towards the technical aspect of whiskey making. It's not just about selling the whiskey. So that hunger made me to keep going, and landed up into a situation where I am today, where the company thought I would be the right person to succeed my previous head distiller, Surinder. so that's where I am now. So what you said is right. I have a strong desire to learn on the technical aspects of whiskey making right at the early stage of my career.
Yeah. That makes sense. So, how long have you been involved with Amrut now? How long has it been? It's one of those
I
things
joined
where
Amrut
a
in
lot of people think Amrut's
2004.
really new, but for me, it feels like it's always been there.
No, I've been working for Amrut for the last 18 years now.
Wow.
Uh, so Amrut was founded in 1948, so very next year of independence from Britain. So we are approaching the Diamond Jubilee celebration, 75th year in 2 years from now. So they're not a new company at all. It's quite old, in fact.
But how long has it been since they were available internationally, though? Because I think that's probably around the same time that you came along.
Yeah, I was recruited for the single malt whiskey project. So my tenure with Amrut is as old as our single malt whiskey portfolio tenure.
Nice. So there's an argument to be said that you are one of the driving forces. You yourself personally are one of the driving forces that has made, to borrow a term from the wine world, New World whiskey such a big force in the last decade. There's whiskeys coming from all kinds of countries, I mean, Canada included, making single malt whiskey now, of course. And I think an awful lot of them probably wouldn't have had the confidence to go ahead if it was not for the success of people like Amrut.
What we call is the traditional nesting grounds for whiskey making, which is obviously Scotland, Ireland, United States, and Canada. These are the four major countries who are making whiskey for a quite number of years, if not single malt. And then when we started the single malt whiskey project in 2004, there weren't any new world whiskeys at all. Probably, if I'm not right, Penderyn Welsh whiskey was just started at the same year as perhaps us, or maybe 1 year later. And of course, the Japanese whiskey category was growing when we entered into the market. Apart from us and Penderyn, I think there is none from the whiskies of the world when it comes to a single malt. So we were pretty new, and the whole experience was an incredible journey from where we started and where we are today.
So of course, India is one of the biggest whiskey drinking countries in the world. Is that when whiskey is very much enjoyed over there? Were you welcomed with open arms in the local category as well? Obviously, you're very much beloved on the global scale, but do you get many people drinking Amrut in India?
It is a quite converse of what you have said. I think this particular mindset is prevalent in Asia, where people don't give respect for what has been produced locally. We wanted to basically break that mindset. So, as a consequence, Amrut Single Malt was first launched in the UK. It wasn't available in India to start with. Although we sell a lot of blended whiskies, rum, gin, and vodka in the Indian market, single malt was not sold in India to start with. So we started with the UK and then to the Europe. Then the next block was Canada, in fact. Liquor Control Board of Ontario was my first move out of Europe. We started in 2007, and then other Canadian provinces in 2009. Then to the United States in 2010. Then to India back in 2011. It was 7 years after we launched the brand in the global market, we went back to India.
Interesting.
So the reason is they wanted to get our name, get a name for ourselves in the global market. That's exactly what well. So the people in India, the whiskey consumers in India started to demand, why aren't you making your single malt available in the Indian market. Then we started to sell it in India, and today we cannot supply enough.
Cool. It's interesting to me because I started my whiskey journey probably, I think it was around 2006 in Edinburgh. And I do remember people, whispering around in corners in Edinburgh, being like, we've got to watch our backs. India's coming for us now. They're making really good whiskey, and I actually remember having it on the shelf in a couple of the bars there. But then I disappeared off to Australia and New Zealand for a while, and I didn't really hear much while I was over there for 3 or 4 years. And then I arrived in Canada, and suddenly Amrut was everywhere.
Yeah, you're right. 2010, 11, we were at the peak in the Canadian market. So I wouldn't be exaggerating if I say that. In 2011, Alberta was my single biggest market in the world, proportionate to the population that live in the province. I guess like 4 million in Calgary. So proportionate to that, what we were selling, Alberta was number 1 in the world.
Amazing. And we have a lot of partners and friends over in Alberta. I'm sure Kensington Wine Market has been somewhere that you've visited. And Keg and Cork up in Calgary, in Edmonton, sorry.
Yeah, nice. Keg and Cork, Kensington, Andrew, quite a number of known places for me in Alberta for sure.
Excellent. Have you been available out in the east much, in places where it's all government run? Have you been in Ontario?
We are in Ontario from 2007.
Oh, cool.
And LCBO is one of the good markets for us. We have a permanent listing for Amrut Fusion in LCBO almost 7 years now. Nice. And then we do distillery future releases then and there. We have done about 3 distillery future releases with the 5 different products in LCBO. And we have had a quick stint in maritime provinces. And now we are available in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. We are selling in Alberta anyway, and of course British Columbia. The funny thing is, when people ask like, what is the most fascinating place you have sold Amrut to? I tell them, Yellowknife. Okay, so Amrut was shipped from Calgary to Yellowknife, and you know how remote Yellowknife is. So it's closest to the Arctic Circle I can think of, right? It's fascinating.
Nice. I have a couple of friends and customers who are in shipping as well, and I'm fairly sure that I've heard stories of a bottle of Amrut making its way up into the Arctic Circle on one of the icebreakers as well. So
that'll be awesome.
Well, we actually one of the reasons that we're putting this video together today, and a special shout out to Zoe at TS Global for helping set this up, is we have an incredibly special Amrut that we're actually releasing here today. We got it in the store about a couple of months ago, but we wanted to make a special occasion for the release of this because this is a very special whiskey. As we've just heard, Amrut is all about flipping expectations and doing exciting things for the first time. And this is the very first triple distilled Amrut, and that is very exciting. And I feel like I read somewhere on the internet that we might even think this is the first triple distilled whiskey in all of Asia, right?
That's true. This is the first ever triple distilled single malt from Asia, for sure. So when someone asked me, like, we have touched everything, the only leftover is like the triple distill, and I think from an Indian perspective, when it comes to single malt whiskey making, by far we are so much ahead. Any my fellow distilleries in India wanting to do something, they have to touch what we have done. There is nothing that what we haven't done when it comes to single malt. So the Triparva, which is a Sanskrit word, as you know, Sanskrit is one of the ancient languages in the world. I think it's dating back to 5,000 years old. So in Sanskrit, Triparva means three times. So that's why we named it Triparva, because we never pretended to be something else. We always made it very loud and clear that we are a single malt whiskey from India. And to cement that position further, most of our namings will be of Indian origin in terms of the brand name. So the Triparva is three times. So that's the first ever triple distilled single malt from Asia.
Very cool.
Not India.
So would you say this is more inspired by some of the Scottish triple distilled whiskies like Hazelburn and Auchentoshan, or is this more in line with the Irish style?
The farmer, so more of a Scottish.
Cool, nice, very exciting. Well, I can't wait to open this. Some of the things that I noted on the bottle here: 50% ABV. I love seeing that. I think that's a fantastic number.
Yeah.
Very cool. Fermented wash is distilled thrice instead of twice in making this single malt. Every other aspect of the whiskey remains the same. Cool. So what kind of barley are we using in this one?
This one is 100% 6-row Indian barley.
Cool.
Canada is one of the countries used to grow 6-row barley a lot. So it's a mere coincidence for us. So this one is 100% Indian barley, which is a 6-row barley, and it is unpeated. The only difference is the distillation is dry as compared to double distillation.
Nice. It's got some lovely color on it, which, you know, I used to work in a single malt distillery in Melbourne, Australia. So I'm very familiar with how greedy the angels can be in hot climates. So is this color entirely just from the oak, or is this is this sherry at all, or is this just straight bourbon?
Okay, this one is a combination of Virgin American oak and first fill bourbon.
Oh, cool, nice.
Yeah, so that's why you have that rich color. I just played around with wood for maturation to see how it evolves on a new American oak and ex bourbon, and then it's a combination of both.
Oh, very cool. Because that's one of the things I've very much enjoyed about the varieties of Amruts that I've had is how you do play around with different wood types. We recently had a single cask from Blackadder from you guys that was done in a rum cask. We've also had a peated port pipe from you guys that was an official bottling that has been absolutely fabulous. So you're definitely not afraid to mix it up a little bit.
No, we are daredevils when it comes to experimentation. We are never afraid of playing around with the different cask type and maturation regime, etc.
All right, let's open her up.
Yeah, awesome. Nice sound it is.
Oh, it's the best sound in the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although I quite like the glug as well.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Nice. So straight away on the nose, I understand that this is definitely coming from a Scottish triple distilled background, not an Irish, because it is not it's not shy. There's a lot of flavor.
It's like loud and clear.
Yeah. Nice. I'm getting sort of brown sugar, a little cinnamon, a little orange peel. Actually, straight from the nose, I would say this would be a really interesting whiskey to give to someone who normally drinks bourbon, who you're trying to persuade to get into single malt, because I think there's a few quite a few aromas in common between the two there.
Yeah, so you're right, and so we tend to lean a little bit towards Kentucky when it comes to the maturation part of our single malt. We have a similar climate to Kentucky, if not the same, except we don't have snow in the winter. But Summer can be warm and dry, especially Bangalore. It is
Hmm.
very, very dry climate. So the wood extraction from the barrel will be very loud and pronounced. It won't be shy. So it is a hybrid of single malt and bourbon in terms of the characters that it
Hmm.
from this whiskey. You're right. You have like a demerara sugar, a little bit of honey tone, and then uh, if you brush back your memory of Little Mill from Scotland,
Hmm.
it has a kind of a plantain note. So that you have that in Tripara. You have a nice banana or plantain note. It's not ripened banana, kind of
Hmm.
semi-ripened. Um, and then bit of melon and peach is what I've seen on this
Yeah.
whiskey, on the nose.
Yeah,
And
there's a nice sort of creamy honeydew melon thing.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And one extra thing which I wasn't expecting, especially from a triple distilled whiskey, is there's a little bit of a deeper aroma in there that comes across to me like a really good rolling tobacco, like a nice sort of damp
Ah,
tobacco.
it's a kind of leathery tobacco. Yeah.
Mm, very nice. All right, well, Slan Shavar. Or actually,
Yeah.
I should learn. How do you say cheers in India?
Same. Cheers.
Cheers. Ah, perfect. Mm. Oh yeah. Ah, mm. I think for anyone who was worried about this release being toned down and light because it's triple distilled, that is absolutely not the case. That is
Eh,
gorgeous and full flavored.
it, it's very well easy to handle at 50% alcohol on the palate. You don't need any water at all.
I
It's
almost
still
forgot it was
soft.
50% for a second there.
Yeah, yeah. So for
That's
us,
yeah.
50% is like a kind of very sweet spot.
Mm,
And it's neither too strong nor too weak. It's just like a nice balance. The majority of our special editions are bottled at 50%. Always we try to uh, fiddle around with the alcohol strength, right from the full cask strength and all the way to 46. We just like cut it down, and see how it evolves, how the balance is. We
yeah.
found at 50% this is brilliant. That's why we bottled it.
Because yeah, at 50% right now, this is so it's like the flavors are more condensed, they're more full, but there is very little alcohol burn on it, which is quite fantastic. What would you say the this would have been at cask strength, somewhere around the 62 kind of range, or?
Right. So because it is triple distilled spread,
Hmm.
as you could imagine, the flavor profile of the spread is on the lighter shade.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is because the malt is not heavy, it cannot fight with the wood for a longer period of time, especially in our climate. If you are maturing this whiskey in Scotland or Ireland, it is a different scenario. Now, having said that, at 50%, you said a little burn. It's easy, nice. What we found at Custom is the wood extractive character was dominating a bit, and you feel the strength of the alcohol. The majority of our single malt, which is double distilled, for example, in the case of Greedy Angel, believe me, at 70% alcohol, neat, I could just swallow and smile and no water needed. It's so smooth because a heavy malt character is fighting with the wood and the whole experience is like remarkably balanced.
Mhm.
Here, in the triple distill, we couldn't achieve that at a higher strength. That's why it's brought down at 50%.
Cool. Mm. Ah. So I have to say, I just peeked out the corner of my eye and saw that it has just turned 7 a.m. here, and this is a very, very good breakfast whiskey.
I love it.
It is.
Perfect breakfast.
It actually it is. I say that semi-jokingly, but it is actually. It does feel like it would go very well with porridge. It has that beautiful, rich brown sugarness, right?
There you go. Why not?
Absolutely. So, how long did you spend in Scotland, Ashok?
I was living in the UK for 10 years.
Oh, and part of it was Newcastle, wasn't it?
Yes, I was in Glasgow for 2 years between 2004 and 6, and then I moved to Newcastle in 2006, and I was there until 2014.
Nice.
And we came back to India later part of 2014.
Cool. So coming over to Scotland and staying in Glasgow for 2 years before going back to Asia, that sounds very much like Masataka Takatsuru just a few years later.
Yeah, I met Takatsuru. You were talking about the founder of Centauri, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the guy who used to run the Highland Bar. Are you talking about him? Or?
No, Masataka Takatsuru, the guy that started Nika.
Sorry. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's except the fact that he married to a Scottish woman, I guess.
He did, yes, Rita.
Yeah.
you didn't do the same?
No, I didn't. My wife is from India.
Perfect. A good reason to go back to India.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, like, see, I'm a person who love to travel, and Canada is one of the countries I really love to go back every time, except I can't bear the cold. Unfortunately, I end up with landing in Canada in January, which is not the right time to go to Calgary, for example.
No.
Like inches of snow and like minus 20 degrees. Oh my God, like a freezing thing. Because that's the time where all the whiskey festival happens, like Victoria Whiskey Festival traditionally around 13th, 14th of January every year. So we try to basically cover up all the areas. We ended up with meeting the biting cold.
We should start a campaign, try and get the festivals moved into the summer.
Yeah.
Because you're not the first person that said that.
Yeah.
So it's actually, funnily enough, I've always wanted to visit India, but I'm terrified of the heat.
You know what? There is a time of the year where you could visit and really enjoy it. I would say you should come in December and January because by December, at the moment we are in the monsoon period in Bangalore. It rains every other day, kind of thing. We had too much of rainfall this year, but late November, early December, and January, it'll be like a British summer for you. It's just brilliantly like 20 to 25 degrees Celsius max during the day, and nighttime probably like 12 to 14 degrees Celsius is brilliant. So don't be worried about it, and you know where to come. We are here. We happily welcome you to Bangalore. At any time.
Awesome. Yeah, it's one of those cultures which has always fascinated me. Growing up in England, of course, a lot of Indian people in Yorkshire where I grew up. So I had a lot of friends in school who were from India, and I was always jealous every summer they'd go. Sorry,
you were from Yorkshire.
Yep.
Where about in Yorkshire?
Near Sheffield.
Okay, there you go. How many times I've been to Sheffield, try to sell my whiskey to the Indian restaurant in Sheffield and Bradford, you name it. And you're right, like it's very multicultural.
Absolutely. And I was always very jealous of all my Indian friends in school who would go visit their relatives over the summer, and they'd come back in September and tell me all these stories of all this magical, colorful land.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
Mm. So, one important thing that we should do before we forget is officially release the Amrut Chiparva, because this is available right now. I'm going to click the big invisible button to launch this on our website. You can buy this at strathliquor.com. The regular price is $219.09, but of course, this is a featured whiskey in our club. So if you are a Dram Association member, which there's no reason not to be, it's free to join. This is currently 10% off, so you can get it for $197.18 for the very first ever triple distilled Indian whiskey, and potentially the very first ever triple distilled Asian whiskey, which is, well, I mean, it's worth it for the exploration and the historic reasons, but honestly, it is absolutely worth it for the flavor as well.
I just wanted to add it to that, and Bangalore is screaming for Triparva. We have released 600 bottles in Bangalore, was sold out in 1 week.
Oh, wow.
And people are screaming. I can just, send you the message of how many people are literally crying to get hold of the bottle and then been asking when would be the next release. And it's been a phenomenally successful launch in India. Even the price point in India, relative to the local per capita, is very expensive. I would say, equating to Canadian earnings and stuff, it would be like over $300, right? And it just sold out in a week.
Wow! Well, congratulations, and it deserves it. It's a very, very good whiskey. To that end, do you have plans to make more?
I can tell you the next release is going to be 2022.
Cool.
But I would say the majority of the allocation is going to be to the Indian market, because people are literally screaming. We would make it available to the global market. We made 6,000 bottles or 5,400. And just remember, one of the either 5,400 or 6,000 on the first release. 600 was allocated to the Indian market, and then rest all allocated to the global market. That's how I did with the first release. Second release, maybe we will allocate a little more to the Indian market because there's so much of demand.
Yeah, maybe swap it. Have only 600 go to international. Well, if only 600 goes to international, hopefully at least 6 will come to BC, because I would love to have this back again in a couple of years' time, because I don't think it's going to last on the shelf for very long in the meantime.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, let's move on to the second whiskey today, which is probably, if you've only tried one Amrut, then this is possibly going to be the one, because I think this is the one I hear people talk about the most. Would you say this is the best seller in Canada, Ashok? The Fusion?
Not only in Canada. This guy is a breadwinner for us.
Nice.
By far the largest selling whiskey in our portfolio.
Excellent.
And you know what? We sell roughly to the tune of about 6,000 bottles a month in Bangalore alone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
It's the most popular single malt whiskey brand in our portfolio. I mean, mainly because a couple of points. The first one is the number of international awards it has under its belly. I think it's about 28 awards from 2010 until now, in the last 11 years. And the profile of the whiskey and then the price that you pay for it is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. That's what people basically rave about. Then Jim Ray's Whiskey Bible, it came the third best in 2010. People thought it's going to be retailing at over £100. in the UK. It wasn't. It was like 40 pounds a bottle,
Hmm.
and people were like very, very much surprised and astonished. I'm talking about in 2010.
Yeah.
And may I just ask you, what is the retail price in DC?
Yeah, and that's a great question because it is available right now at strathliquor.com. And yeah, it's amazing. It's only 110.35, which is a fantastic value for a whiskey of this quality. And right now, of course, you can get 10% off on that. So it's $99.32. So that is about like 55, 60 pounds. And that's 10 years later. 12 years later.
That's what I'm about to ask you. Are you kidding me? Because I think in Strat, probably it was selling for the same amount of money maybe 5, 6 years ago.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm trying to tell you. We haven't increased our prices like crazy. However, I think I'm really forced to increase it next year because the global inflation uh, on input cost when it comes to the raw material, steel prices are up like 65% compared to last year. The shipping cost at the moment, I don't know whether you are aware of it or not, is absolutely insane. Uh, Shipping cost is 5 times more. That's like close to 500 times compared to last
That's mad. And it takes 5 times
year.
as long as well, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really, really tough situation
Yeah.
in terms of the inflation on the pricing. But
Hopefully it returns
$99,
back to normal at some point soon.
yeah, I hope so. But $99 is a brilliant price point for it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I've had this one several times. Would you say, obviously you've had it a lot more times than I have, would you say there's much variation between batches, or is the fusion relatively consistent?
Right, it's a fantastic question. What happened was, can you just take the bottle out for me, please?
Yeah, absolutely. There we go.
Right. If you look at the back label of the bottle,
Hmm.
there will be a batch number and a month of bottle.
I see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Batch number and manufacturing date, but I don't think it has a stamp. I think this one might have got missed on the line.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's just on the other side.
Okay.
Batch number 88 from March 2020. Wow, this was bottled in March 2020. That must have been a fun time to be bottling whiskey.
Yeah. So what happens is for Canada, we ship it from the UK.
Mm.
So when I bottled it in March 2020, probably I would have shipped it out of India in April to the UK. It would have reached UK in May, June. And then, as I said, it's a huge delay in shipping. Zoe from TS Global probably took 4 to 5 months to get the goods shipped from the UK to Canada, and then coming into basic liquor distribution division, and then from there to the private stores. It's a whole lot of delay. So March 2020. So how we do is like this. We never mass produce Amrut fusion. What we do is when I have say an order for 400 cases of fusion, I just draw only 400 cases worth of liquid from the barrel and then bottle it, finish it. And then that will be batch number 88, then 89. When another 500 cases order comes in, we'll do it.
Mhm.
And what happens is, I have to admit that there will be a subtle variation from one batch to the other because my batch size can vary from drawing whiskey from 10 barrels to 100 barrels. Okay, so because of that, there was a variation, which is nice. At times, from one batch to other, it's like a subtle variation, and you see compare and contrast. But now, what I have done after I have assumed the responsibility in 2019, I have created a Solera system for Amrut Fusion and Amrut Single Malt. So what I do is basically I draw whiskey from the barrel as and when I feel it is ready to bottle, dump into the Solera tank. Now, at any point in time, I'll be having 25,000 liters sitting in the van, but it is a stainless steel van,
Mhm.
but not a wooden van, because I don't want to add a further wooden influence in the Indian climate. If
Mhm.
it is a Scottish climate, no problem. You can put it in the vat. The wood influence won't be that much as compared to the subcontinent.
Yeah.
So then now what happens is, as and when I draw the whiskey from the Solera vat for bottling, let's say if it comes to 15,000, I add another 5,000 on the top. So now what we are seeing is there is a real consistency
Mm.
uh, from one batch to the other. So this is like completely kind of stabilized now. Now,
Yeah.
if you taste Fusion batch number 100 and 101, it will be very super close.
Cool. So yeah, that I mean that makes a lot of sense in terms of a great way to keep it consistent. So you'll probably find that, like you say, like batch number 100 is going to be very, very similar to batch number 101, almost, indistinguishable. But at the same time, if you take batch number 100 and then compare it to batch 130, you'll probably still be able to get a bit of difference. You'll still feel the evolution of it.
Yes, you will. Because what happened is now, as we mature and draw whiskey,
Mhm.
even within the warehouse, uh, from the lower tier to the top tier, have a huge variation because we have a microclimate on every tier. Uh, the top tier is exposed to more heat during the summer, and of course more exposure to oxygen as compared to the one on the right at the bottom that is relatively cool as compared to the top surface, and then oxygen circulation will be limited here than the top. So this basically plays a considerable difference between a whiskey drawn on the top tier of the shelf to the bottom. So we have a 7 tier column. So the barrels are staked one after the other.
Mhm.
So we see a kind of microclimate within the van. Forget about the different warehouses. So because of that reason, I would say there will be a difference from one barrel to the other. And then you are trying to basically bring everything together. However, what I would say is, uh, if I take like 50 barrels for marrying, I would say we taste at least 25 of the barrels, like one after the other,
Mhm.
to have an overall idea of where we are heading towards. If there is a need to alter something, change something, we'll do it.
Nice. So I I feel like you can't have one without the other between a well sort of blended official bottling single malt like this and also a single cask program. One of the things I love about whiskies is being able to uh, have a product like this where you can really see what the distillery is aiming for its house style, but then also being able to discover individual casks on their own. And I've absolutely loved exploring Amrut's single cask program through their own official bottlings that you put out, but also through independent bottlers. Is there a specific single cask release that you have, like you have incredible memories of? Is there one that stands out in your memory?
There is a quiet number to say. I it is going to be very very hard for me to say this is the one that I really like. But however, I would say my personal number one choice on single cast is a peated port pie. Any
Same.
given
I
day.
have half a bottle behind me.
Any given day. It is an absolute killer. I don't know, for some reason, our peated single malt works so well with the port pie.
Mm,
And I have put really lots of effort to buy a good quality port pipe from Portugal. All my Ford Cascar pipes, all 550, 600 historical barrels. When you say historical barrels, average age of those port pipes are about 30 years old. It contained port wine for 30 odd years. And then you bring them to Bangalore and you fill your Peter's single malt. What do you expect? It's going to be a killer. It's just absolutely brilliant. And then the recent bottlings, what I have really liked one was the ex Caroni rum cask. That was brilliant. Then ex rye cask. So we, if you remember, we made our own rye single malt whiskey. We bottled it about like 3 years ago. Again, one of the first malted rye single malt from Asia. So we had those barrels, and then we have used those to finish off, and that, like again, is like absolutely incredible. And then recently we have bottled one Pinot cask or United States of America. We had only 3 Pinot casks. Very hard to find a good quality Pinot sherry cask. So that was really, really good. So these are the from the recent memory.
Yeah. I'm after hearing all of these amazing casks that you've enjoyed, I'm starting to understand why you made the Spectrum.
Yeah, right. So, but good news for you, Adam, is you will get it something soon. So, no, you're not far away. You're not far away. So Spectrum, the idea came by looking at the market. It's like, why nobody is making a barrel with the multiple wood?
A Franken barrel.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how the idea came.
Mm-hmm. And was it worth the effort? Because I'm sure that wasn't an easy task.
It wasn't an easy task, but at the end of the day, you are truly gratified by the results of what these and how it's been highly appreciated around the world, and then one of the much sought after brands from our portfolio. Yeah. So it was all the effort that we made.
Another one of my favorites that was very experimental, which hopefully we will see again one day, was the Kadambam.
Oh yeah. Again, both are similar in a way in terms of a different flavor profile. Mm-hmm. In the case of Kadambam, we moved whiskey from one kind of barrel to the other for every year and a half. Before we bottle it.
I'm trying to remember the casks. Did you not use your own rum casks for that, or brandy casks or something?
Yes, we have used. We started off with ex-bourbon, then moved into ex-brandy cask, which is our own brandy cask. We distill our own brandy. Then we moved our own rum cask.
So that's the old port rum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next one is the sherry cask.
Cool. I have enjoyed many an old port rum, but I've never seen your brandy internationally. Is that only a local product?
It is more of local product.
Yeah.
Because it's a blended brandy, it's more sold here.
That's fair.
So we never export it.
So we've had many examples of the kind of playfulness and the wonderful ingenuity at Amrut, but this is kind of where it started, right? The fusion between using Indian barley and Scottish barley. And what can you tell us about the casks that we used in the fusion?
It's a Vizino Connect bourbon.
Fair enough. So 50% ABV on this one as well, which is also nice. Let's crack her open and see what batch 88's like.
Yeah.
So what batch do you have there?
I have...
It's a very satisfying cork pop.
It's no kidding. I have batch number 88.
Oh, really?
It's 88 March 2020.
Amazing. We have literally the same hat on the other side of the
There you
world.
go.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, that is wonderfully familiar. Well, cheers.
Look at the fruitiness on the nose.
Yeah, there's a sort of a mango, it's like a smoky mango.
Yeah, it's like a tropical, you're right. And then I see a nice layer of, I would say, an orange citrus.
Mm. Yeah, like an orange creamsicle. Oh, that's lovely. So,
And then the vanilla is kind of hiding and trying to come out, caught between the orangey and the tropical fruit.
mhm. There's a little bit of a licorice note on the nose for me as well right now.
Yes, it's licorice is one of the typical signature characters of Amrut. I think it's down to tropical maturation.
Makes sense. There's I don't know if it's popular in India. I haven't really seen it anywhere other than Canada, but there's a really popular flavor of ice cream over here. They call Tiger, or in Ontario they call it Tiger Tail, I think, which is like it's like an orange sherbet ice cream with ripples of licorice through it. So it's orange and licorice together, and it smells
awesome.
just like this.
But we don't have that here.
Should start a campaign. It's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a beautiful.
And for me, the surprising thing is, again, at the 50% of the alcohol, the nose is not giving you any clue or whatsoever on the strength of the alcohol. The flavors are so nice and soft. It's not pungent or it's not spreading.
No, it's just full. It's much like the Chipava was. And it feels like a love letter to the to that sort of lightly peated Highland style. You know, things like the peated Glenglassocks or the Amrut, Amrut. This is Amrut, Ardmore. I was going to say that kind of style.
And you see that the phenols are like absolutely shy, playing the kind of hide and seek. You're really wondering, is there any peak at all? It's so subtle.
Yeah.
Very hard to find it on the nose.
And that's a style of whiskey that I personally am very much drawn to. I love it when the peat is there, but it's shy peat. But it's confident still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hiding away, but it will let you know when it arrives.
Yeah.
Oh, that's glorious. Very nice. So I guess this is probably was this probably the first peated whiskey ever made in India? I feel like it probably was.
No, the first we had. It's funny you asked me. The first ever peated style whiskey that we have made was peated cast strength straight away.
Oh, cool.
Okay. The packaging was like very ordinary. It's like a simple brown color box, and then a label affixed on the box. That's how we started. I mean, I'm not shy about it. This is how we started. It was bottled in Scotland. We shipped the bulk from here to Scotland, and then I think, if I remember correct, we have bottled some 100 cases. That's it. 600 bottles of the peated cast strength. The way how people appreciated it, what made us to really get into the game of peated malt whiskey. Before that, we never had an idea. So then we came up with the peated single malt, which we are going to see later on, perhaps. And then what happened was we were seriously low on stock of the peated single malt. So we don't know what to do. Out of that difficult situation, the fusion was invented.
Wow.
So mixing Indian barley and Scottish barley, play around and see how it works. It works so well with a dash of peat rather than a full-blown peated whiskey. That's how the Amrut fusion was born.
Nice. For some reason, I always assumed it was the other way around, but yeah, that's that makes a lot of sense. And how did the local market respond to suddenly having a smoky whiskey available? Was the peated one really popular, or did it really only start catching on with the fusion?
For us, it looked like the Indian nose and palate love their peated whiskey. Peated whiskeys are very popular. I mean, most of the blended whiskeys that are sold here has a good amount of peat in it. What happens is, still majority of the population drink it as a highball dilution with soda. Imagine you put a fizzy on a whiskey which has a lot of peat in it. It's straight away going to bring up the phenols on the nose and on the palate. So peated whiskeys are highly popular in India, but they love fusion because it's not too much of peat, just enough of it, as you see in like typical blended whiskey, where like maybe 10% of the peat, just like keep that finish and then the flavor complementing the palate than same for all.
And it's funny you mentioned the prevalence in India of the slightly peatier style of blended whiskey, because if I was to try and explain for anyone who's never had the fusion, the closest thing that I can think of, it's very Johnny Walker Green Label-esque.
Right.
Which is I mean this as a compliment. I think Johnny Walker Green Label is an absolutely fantastic whiskey, but it's
one of my favorite blended malts, Adam.
Nice. And I think this is hitting a lot of the same sort of that light peat with the rich caramels as well, and it's kind of hitting a lot of the same notes, but better. That 50% ABV, that sort of richer, more unctuous, and the fruity tropical notes as well. There's a lot going on in this.
Yeah. It's a lot chocolatey on the palate, and then the orangey citrus come back, tropical, and then at the depth, once you swallow the whiskey, see the peat just like mildly evolve from the palate. It's like very much complementing to the other flavors rather than dominating.
Absolutely.
If I can say so.
And I think, to be honest, I think if there's someone who doesn't think they like peat, they would probably still like this, because if you're not looking for it, you might not even notice it. You just kind of notice the effects of it, the more sort of savory notes that it brings along with it.
I just joke at people, and fusion is someone who doesn't like peated whiskey. Just give them. It's like a medicine. You start with a small dose, and then keep increasing it. It's just a kind of beginner's peated whiskey, you may say so.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And look at the palate. It's like so silky and like it's so easy to handle, soft, and evolve.
Yeah. And it's really well balanced in terms of that sweet, savory kind of balance. It's not overly sweet. You can taste the honeys, but the honeys have been, it's like a slightly singed honey. It's not just fresh, straight honey. There's sort of a little bit of the sour fruit notes in there, but not over the top. It's very much in the middle of everything.
Correct.
I can definitely understand why this is so the best selling, the most popular, especially for the local market, because it feels like one of those whiskeys that although it might not be many people's absolute favorite whiskey in the world, you're not going to find many people who don't like it. It's a crowd pleaser whiskey, right?
It's a crowd puller for us.
Yeah. And it's one of those whiskies that I think for Amrut is going to be a great what's the term, the gateway whiskey.
Yeah, I call it the breadwinner.
Mm. Mm. No, absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, like I said, available right now at strathliquor.com with a 10% discount. It's $99.32, so sub 100 for a whiskey like this. There's not many whiskeys that are 100 proof, the single malts for sub $100. That's very, very good. And our final whiskey today of our little Amrut trilogy, we have a trilogy to celebrate the trip over. It's great. Is the aforementioned peated. And I don't think I've ever had this release. I've had the cask strength, but I don't think I've had the regular strength. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing what this one's like.
No, it is okay. The fusion is made from Indian barley and the Scottish peated barley. That's why the name fusion.
Mhm.
If someone wonders about the phenolic level on fusion, probably I would say 5 to 6 ppm,
Mhm.
not more than that. The peated single malt, on the other hand, is 100% made from Scottish peated barley.
Nice.
So I am going to taste. It's a new batch number 109, bottled 20th of September 21.
Yes, it's 21. Let's see.
It's a super new batch.
Oh, I've got an old one.
Yeah. So you know what? The one that you have on hand, I would say it's worth a lot of money. Why it is that's the old packaging.
Yeah. This is batch
It's not
78 from
produced.
December 2017.
Yeah, it's not produced anymore. The I can tell you where that peat came uh, from the time of the bottling, and that's again matured in a good quality combination of virgin oak and first full bourbon barrel. You see the color of the whiskey,
Yeah.
the one
Yeah.
in gold, it's like super dark.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't put any caramel coloring in any of our single malt. We don't even.
You don't need to.
Yeah, we don't need to. That peat comes from east coast of Scotland, from Aberdeenshire.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so the peat characteristics are totally different than the Islay single malt.
So I'm thinking of other distilleries that have told me they get their peat from peated malt from Aberdeenshire. So this is probably going to be the same peat that's used in like the peated Annox from Knockdhu.
And Bruichladdich as well.
And Bruichladdich, yeah, nice, very cool. And one thing to note as well, even with the depth of color in this, this one has been reduced down to 46. So that makes the color even more impressive.
Yeah, exactly. So in spite of the dilution, and you just look at the color.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's much darker than the Fusion. The Fusion's 4% more concentrated. Very cool. Nice. Well, I'll open it up and see what we're going with here, because I was a huge fan of the peated cask strength.
Oh yeah, it's a killer. It's a killer.
But I also am a firm believer that whilst cask strength is good, there's a time and a place for whiskey at any ABV. I think there's some whiskies that work really, really well at 40 even, and 46 I think is a really good sweet spot.
The reason why we do 46 is we don't do chill filter. So for a non-chill filtered whiskey, 46 and above is safer, especially the climatic condition like yours, where
yeah, especially if you're shipping to Alberta, right?
Yeah. So the winter time whiskey can go super cloudy.
Mm. Ooh, lovely. Lovely, lovely. So there's obviously a bit of a wonderful exchange of culture in these whiskies between India and Scotland. And I think one of the cultural exchanges that has happened in the other direction, of course, is what India is really very much known for in the UK is the food. Would you say that this style of whiskey works well with Indian cuisine?
Right. So, Indian cuisine and whiskey, very hard to match
Mm.
because Indian food tends to be like spicy. So if you drink a sprit, not only whiskey, but any other sprit at high strength, is basically going to burn your tongue, and the flavors are really be at contrast to each other.
Hmm.
Because of that, I would say 99 percentage of the whiskey consumption in India are as an appetizer. So people like drink one quarter bottle of whiskey, then go and have their biryani or their chicken tikka masala. not
Nice.
the not the other way around. Uh, if you want to do a food pairing with Indian food and whiskey, you can do it. But for that, the whiskey flavor and the food flavor has to travel in the same direction.
Hmm.
They can't come into the opposite side.
Yeah. Because it's funny. It's one of those things that's you talk about the flavors in whiskey and different cuisines and things, and I feel like I don't think I've ever described a whiskey as tasting sort of curry-esque. It's not a flavor that really comes to mind. However, one tasting note that I have found in many curries, one of my favorite things from Indian cuisine is, and please forgive the butchering of the pronunciation, I think they call it Gulab Jamun, the little milk dumplings with the syrup.
Yeah,
Mm.
Gulab Jamun is the right pronunciation. It's a very highly calorific value.
Oh yeah.
You have to run a couple of miles in the next day to burn it out. But like Gulab Jamun and ice cream, uh, the hot Gulab Jamun and cold vanilla ice cream
Mm.
together
Yeah.
is an amazing combination. You try it next time. So you got to basically heat up your Gulab Jamun and then a couple of scoops of vanilla ice cream, and then you dump the Gulab Jamun with the syrup on the top of it, and you have it. It's amazing.
No, oh, can't wait. And for anyone watching in Canada who's no idea what a gulab jamun is, imagine basically a really dense timbit that's served in basically like a syrup soup. There's timbits floating in syrup. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Although the other Indian
So,
dessert that I feel
what do you
like
find on the nose,
sometimes.
Adam?
Sorry?
How do you find the nose of this?
Oh, lovely, yeah. As one of the things I was making me sort of talk about cuisine is it has that bacon scallop kind of a note.
Bacon. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's easy to correlate some seafood notes with the Peter Justice. It's a typical like iodine, sea salt, smoked bacon, leathery, sweet tobacco. These are the typical notes that you associate with the Peter Justice. Not necessarily on this one, but you're right. Like smoked bacon. The one that I have is quite different than what you have. Mine is this peak. What I have now is very different than what you have.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a rolled tobacco,
Mm.
bit like a leathery, but also a nice hint of banana note,
Oh, nice.
which is quite different than what you have.
Mm-hmm. I'm also getting a nice citrus note that's reminding me of using lemon oil to polish a guitar neck.
I
That sort
would
of
say
open
that the
lemon.
lemon is citrus.
Mm.
That those batches that what you have, we have as a lemon is citrus. In
Nice.
fact, uh, one guy described it as like an amazing way of describing the flavor profile, and he said butterscotch wrapped in phenol.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Mm. It also it's bringing it's bringing something to mind which it sounds very strange. But are you familiar with the candy over here, Werther's Originals? They're very popular in the UK as well. It's sort of a hard butterscotch candy.
What is it called?
Werther's Originals.
No,
They're sort of these
I only
little
know Haribo
hard
from the
oval
UK.
butterscotch.
Okay,
But it smells like someone has had, a handful of those in a warm pocket next to their pouch of tobacco.
okay, there you go.
Specifically a warm pocket. Mm. Oh, yeah. Mm. It's got a wonderful dry finish that makes you want to go back for more.
It's like a dry tea.
Mm. Oh, that's good. Yeah, this would be one of those whiskeys where it's far too easy to accidentally drink the whole thing in 10 seconds. It's you just keep going back.
It's nice sitting next to a fireplace, perhaps a cigar, and sip one sip at a time.
Yeah, actually, this would be a brilliant thing to have in a hip flask if you were stuck outside in Calgary in January.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, very good. Nice. So I'm really intrigued. The idea of bringing malted barley in from Scotland. I'm sure at the beginning, it made perfect sense to do that in terms of an operation standpoint. But you're making so much whiskey these days. Have you not thought about peating your own whiskey? Your own barley, sorry.
Adam, it's we thought about it. Two things. First, we have to bring the peat either from Scotland or Ireland or some Scandinavian countries, wherever it is available.
Mm-hmm.
And then the problem is malting in Bangalore is very, very difficult. Now, if we have to do the fitting ourselves, then we have to do malt our own barley. And then that means we have to do a floor malting. We can't afford to have a commercial malting plant just to do the feeding. So where do I go for a green malt if I have to do the feed myself? A. And then B, the climate in Bangalore is like so dry. We don't have enough of humidity in the air for you to achieve a better feeding standard. For the peat smoke to get absorbed into the body, you need to have plenty of moisture in the air. Then only it's basically gel together.
So you could only do it during monsoon season.
Pardon?
So you could only peat during monsoon season.
Yeah, that's the only possibility. But keeping the germination in a controlled way, and then it's like we did some lab scale experiments to see if we can make it, but they didn't make any sense unless I would love to do that, provided if I can do my own floor malted barley, like how some of the old schools in Scotland are doing, like Springbank, which do part of their barley floor malted left right. That's a part of their floor malted barley. I would love to do that, but it's practically difficult.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we haven't proceeded in that direction.
Fair enough. Well, if it makes sense to keep bringing it in from Scotland, then I very much hope you do, because this is damn good whiskey.
Yeah.
And this whiskey, is would you believe it? Actually, even less than the Fusion. Right now on the shelf, this is 107.74, which means with a 10% discount, it's 96.97. Amazing value.
Yeah, good value for a peated whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Oh, beautiful. So I have a cheeky question for you, and this is something I often ask. I often ask in these interview style questions of, outside of your own whiskey, do you have a favorite distillery? But I'm going to narrow it down even more for you, Ashok, because I would love to know, because you were so instrumental in bringing what we call now world whiskies to the market, whiskies from interesting different countries that aren't known for whiskey. Do you have a favorite world whiskey outside of Amrut?
I do. I do. Yamasaki 12.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite whisky. See how much I killed it.
Oh, wow. And that's a bottle you very rarely see in this part of the world.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite New World whiskeys. Besides that, I like what Nika does, again from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Kavalan is good. Penderin is good. Penderin in particular, I like their Madeira.
Yeah, and that was one of Jim Swan's ideas, was to have the Madeira cask be their base model, and that's wild. I can't think of another distillery that has Madeira as their standard.
Yeah, that's amazing what they've done. So I drew inspiration from that, and then we have done one batch of Madeira finish. It's all like sold out quite a while ago.
Yeah. There's one other Indian single malt that has become available in Canada in the last couple of years as well. The John Distillery, Paul John.
Paul John.
Yeah. Is that commonly seen in India as well? Or are they mostly export?
Yeah. I mean, Paul John Distillery, they started after us, and then it's very interesting because we both distilleries worked in completely in a contrast climatic condition. They are in the seaside. It's hot and extremely humid.
Yeah.
And they are very much at the sea level. And Bangalore is at an elevation of 3,000 feet above the sea level.
Wow.
And then it's basically, except the summertime, I would say it's one of the best places to live from a weather standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Barely you cross 25 degrees Celsius. That's the max. And then winter is absolutely brilliant in Bangalore. So we have a very temperate climate. It's neither too hot, not too cold.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing is the humidity is very low. So that contributes to one way where my strength of alcohol goes up inside the barrel every year. Whereas in Paul John in Goa, they go down every year.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, it's completely opposite in that respect. So their malt is like more floral. Ours is, as I told you before, it's a hybrid of Highland single malt and bourbon in terms of the cask.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, it's been nice for me being able to see the variety of flavors that you can get from India. But of course, like, as you were mentioning, geographically, very, very different places and quite far apart as well, aren't they? So it's kind of like the equivalent of trying to compare a whiskey made down in Kentucky compared to a whiskey made in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, it's just not like two single
often tell people, how do you describe Amrut in one line?
How do I?
So, I've been asked this question many times. I have one simple sentence which will be nailed in people's heads forever. I tell Amrut is a missing link between Scotland and Kentucky.
Yeah, and it took a very interesting geographic route to get there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Either side of the Atlantic, we are in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, but that's yeah. I mean, flavor-wise, you're spot on. Yeah. Lovely. Well, I should probably let you get going because it's I'm cutting into your evening now. It's Friday night, and I'm sure you're going to go out and party, right?
No, unfortunately we work full day on Saturday because we are in the production.
Ah,
Our malt distillery runs 24/7. Even we work on Sundays. Of course, I don't go on Sundays unless it is needed. But Saturday is a full working day for me. So it is not a weekend yet. So it's and again, it's a work for me. So
yeah.
I'm not really worried. But I think you must be very hungry after drinking this whiskey for your breakfast.
It is time for breakfast. That is certainly true, and possibly a coffee.
Yeah. To clear the palate first.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Ashok, on Drinking Out Loud. Hopefully, we'll have you over here for one of the whiskey festivals in Victoria in the next year or two, when we're allowed to have international guests. I'm not sure if we can right now. I haven't really looked into it, but I'm sure in 2023, 2024, we'll be seeing your smiling face over here again, and I look forward to sharing a dram of you with you.
Adam, I am more optimistic. I think I would make it to Canada next year. I think United States has opened its borders for people living in India just now.
Oh wow!
So
Cool.
yeah, so from November we are allowed to travel to the United States. So I think the pandemic is going down. It's not
Yeah.
completely over yet, but it's going down. I'm really hopeful to see you next year.
Excellent. I look forward to it. And hopefully in 2023 as well, so we can celebrate the 75th anniversary of Amrut.
Oh, 100%. We have something special coming up. So I'll make sure that I'll have a drum for you.
Do you have any big celebration whiskeys planned for the 75th anniversary, or is that secret?
Of course I do. I have a plan for two very unique expressions. It's completely out of the box. That's what I love about it. I just wanted to do something what people have never thought about.
In true Amrut style.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be very exciting, I'm sure.
Oh, I can't wait to find out. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and good night to everyone at home. If you have any questions for Ashok, please do leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll be sure to pass them on to him. And yeah, stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Adam. Have a good day, and I'll catch you soon.